Time now for everyone's favorite segment of the week. It is
It's time for a good old-fashioned Q&A, MMA fans. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment has arrived to hear from the man himself, Ariel Helwani.
Yes. Can't wait to get a ton of great questions.
New York City, it's on the nose. And now, to answer your questions,
you know, a lot of people were asking me on Monday why I didn't ask Dustin about
Ariel Helwani.
Yes, thank you very much, Mike Heck, about Benoit Denis saying that he was battling staph. Honestly, I didn't see it until after the interview, so I did see it, you know, since, and that is horrendous and doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who would make an excuse, to be honest. So wish him the best. And again, I was saying it's like, pick an example. GSP, Matt Hughes, Rose, Carla back in the day. Like, there's always these fights where the youngster, you know, goes for it and takes a big leap and stumbles and then comes back even better. This is 1,000%. There is no doubt in my mind that this will be the case with BSD. So he has nothing to worry about, in my opinion. That was a massive jump for him. He fought fire with fire, some adjustments, and he's right back in there. Let's start with that dude, Drew. Ariel, last year you indicated that you didn't want to work Jake Paul, Tommy Fury because it was in Saudi. What changed your mind in the past year? So there were a couple reasons why last year I didn't work that card. One was it was around the time of my son's birthday. It wasn't specifically on his birthday, but it was close. That was one of the reasons. And yes, I did say that I was just a little bit, I don't know, I was a little bit torn on the assignment. That was in February of last year. So all that is accurate. Since then, I have met a lot of people who are a part of the promotion over there, if you want to call it that. And I'm not just talking about Turkey al-Sheikh. I'm talking about a lot of people who work with him, including people who don't live in Saudi Arabia, who live in England, from the communications team to the marketing to people who do work with him. And I was uneducated at the time and have learned a lot and have met a lot and have asked a lot and felt comfortable doing it. And so I know a lot has been said and written about their intentions. I feel like their intentions are very much, you can tell that Turkey is a huge boxing fan. And trust me, there's a lot more that they can spend their money on than Joseph Parker and Zhilei Zhang or any boxing match. Tyson, Usyk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I do feel like there is a willingness to put on the biggest events, to grow the sport, to obviously show Saudi Arabia in a positive light, but that's no different than anyone paying a site fee to have the UFC come to town and there's a commercial being played for Salt Lake City or Miami, et cetera. So everyone has motives in that regard. And I feel comfortable with their motives, and I feel comfortable with you know, what they're trying to do. So I felt like it was important for me to experience it. I felt like it was important for me to go there and kind of know what's going on, because they're such a massive player in the world of combat sports. And I see some people saying like, oh, Ariel's being paid by the Saudis, or just to make the record crystal clear, I have not been paid by any of them. I feel like I've made my stance on these types of issues very clear. And I don't even think that I owe anyone, because no one else, by the way, ever has to answer these questions. But I make myself available to answer these questions for you. The only people who paid me last week to work that event were DAZN. And I'm sometimes a pain in their ass, because a lot of people in boxing and combat sports don't have these feelings about pay. And so there are events where they're like, oh, can you get paid by the promoter? And I say, no. It's either I'm going to go and I have to be paid by the broadcaster, or I'm not going at all. And that goes for flight, that goes for hotel, that goes for everything. I am not taking anything from anyone other than the media outlet / broadcaster, streamer, whatever you want to call them. That's a hard line. That's something that I will never waver or waffle on, because of my history with Fox. And that's how it always was supposed to be. And I did waver, and I paid for it, and I made a mistake. So I will never do that. And so just so you know, to be 1,000% clear, no one told me to say anything, do anything, be anything, whatever, and I didn't accept anything, and I wasn't paid by anyone other than DAZN. So I just want that to be extremely clear for everyone. Not trying to cast aspersions on anyone who feels otherwise or conducts business otherwise, but that's just what I was taught, and that's just what I feel most comfortable with. So we change, we evolve. I don't think I had like a super hardline stance like others, but I felt after numerous conversations, and they could vouch for this, that it was, you know, the appropriate and right thing for me to do. And like I said, it was a very memorable and rewarding experience, and I would be open to doing it again. Here's another one from OCO. Howdy, Ariel. My boss sucks. I mean, truly terrible. Probably the worst I've ever had. Do you or any of the fellas have any terrible boss stories that could get dicey professionally? So maybe a story or experience from when you were younger working at a fast food joint or something. My misery wants company. Wish me luck on getting a different job soon. Thanks to you and the crew for the great shows week in and week out. Anyone want to share a bad boss story?
I've never really had like a horrible boss. Just
same.
Your typical corporate stuff that can be frustrating, but no like boss that was like out to get me or anything like that. Luckily, actually.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I've been fortunate.
Story.
Why do I
Like,
feel like
certainly-
Frank has had a bad boss?
Yeah, just give that vibe.
Yeah.
It is true though.
See?
I have had some pretty bad bosses.
Knew it.
I had one tell me that I wasn't assertive enough. I was a lot younger. And then in the same breath, he's like, and you're a bit of a smart aleck. And I was like, case
Wow,
in
I'm
point,
shocked.
Smart aleck means over assertive. What you mean to say is I'm a smart ass. And I proved the point.
Oh, feels like you're being a smart aleck right now, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the smart aleck is, again, just like you think it's the PC version of smart ass, but it's actually saying that you're overly bearing and overly assertive.
All right, smart ass.
Rick, you were going to say something regarding this.
No, I mean, I was going to say something similar to Connor, which is like certainly like there can be frustrations and growing pains and things like that, but typically they're organizational. I've never had somebody who was my direct boss where I was like, that's bad. It's mostly been just like bureaucracy stuff and not a boss themselves. I feel bad for this guy. Like I couldn't even imagine having to look that in the eyes and have that situation. So you'll get through it, man. Sorry that you're in that spot.
Have there been a couple times where like I maybe not felt my boss is the most qualified for the position? Sure. But like a boss that's actually out to get me? No. My roommate has had some experiences like that.
And by the way, this isn't just some regular schmo. This is OCO, our YouTube moderator.
Yeah, our guy. Who we saw in Dallas, I believe.
Shout out.
So yes, I've had some interesting experiences. I was an intern one summer at my dad's work, and the guy who was in charge of being my boss, because you know I didn't like I was doing very different stuff than my dad was doing, was not happy about me being there, and actually quite amazingly said to me one time, just given the fact that I was the boss's son, we were eating lunch. I was eating with the guys in the cafeteria, this little room that we had, and I was like leaning back on my chair, and he said that he hoped that I would fall off my chair and break my head. And I found that to be very interesting. And I actually told my dad about this, and he sort of laughed it off and didn't do anything about it. I thought maybe I could get him in trouble because he was such a dick to me, this guy. But he did not. He did not get in trouble. In fact, my dad didn't. I kind of feel like he didn't really want me to do it, except I had nothing else to do. I do also.
I feel like that qualifies. Somebody telling you that they want you to break your head. I'd say that's probably a bad boss right there.
I actually do have one there. There was a guy at an internship that wouldn't call me by my name. He called me just like all these other names that started with C. Cooper.
Yeah, it's not great.
Things like that. And I'd be like...
Oh, I thought you were going to say like C-U-N.
Oh, no. No, he just wouldn't... He knew what my name was. He just thought it was cool, I guess, to not call me by my name. Yeah, I gave up on it after like a couple of weeks. I was like, I just don't care. Guys on the radio every day in Atlanta, drive time.
Wow.
Yeah, well, he'll remain unnamed, but yeah.
You should have just called him a name that starts with the same letter and just made up his name.
His name actually, you know. Yeah, it was good stuff though. It really made me feel like a nice and valuable part of the team.
When I left Spike TV, I told my boss that I was going to leave after a week, and he told me that it was the worst decision of my life and that I would regret it forever, and that I was making a huge, huge unprofessional move and all this stuff. And that didn't make me feel very good. I understand he was upset, but I think he handled it very good, especially since I wasn't that, I don't know, I wasn't that important to the operation.
How do you feel now?
I feel like I proved him wrong, Frankie. I proved him wrong. So yeah, that one comes to mind. And I would certainly say, especially later in life, I'd say last few years or so, not post 2021, there's certainly been people that I've worked with that I did not enjoy working with, but I wouldn't qualify them as bosses per se, just people that I didn't really like the way they did business and the way they talked to me or the way they asked me to do things. But that's for a different day. Before we proceed with the questions, I did want to mention, and we didn't get to it at the very top of the show because of all the breaking news stuff. I did want to talk very briefly about Mark Coleman. By now, you probably have seen the news regarding Mark Coleman. It's been all over social media, and I want to just read so I have all the details correct. It's been reported on multiple outlets, including CNN and very mainstream and traditional outlets, that Mark Coleman, the former UFC heavyweight champion, according to his daughter on Instagram, is, quote, battling for his life at the moment. This is, absolutely awful news. This is from his daughter. I'm reading this right now. As many know, our dad was involved in a house fire early this morning, along with his parents and beloved dog, Hammer. Of course, that was his nickname when he was a fighter and still is his nickname. He managed to get both of his parents out of the house, but despite his best efforts, was not able to save Hammer, unfortunately. He was life flighted to the hospital where he's currently battling for his life after this heroic act. Our father has always been our hero and means the world to us. He is and always will be a fighter, the strongest and bravest man I know. Please continue to pray for him and our family during this extremely difficult time. We will miss our sweet Hammer so deeply. Thank you for all the love and support. Hammer House for life. Very hard to read. Mark Coleman is an inspiration and a pioneer and a trailblazer and one of the greatest fighters of all time, and has really turned his life around as of late. If you follow him on social media, you will know that he's talked openly about his battles with depression and substance abuse, and appeared to be in amazing shape and in great spirits, and has cornered the likes of Matt Brown and many others, and really was, in many respects, like one of the true founding fathers of mixed martial arts. Given his style, given his pedigree coming from Ohio State, and the way in which he fought with the ground and pound and the Team Hammer House days with Kevin Randleman, the late great Kevin Randleman, and Phil Baroni and others, UFC Hall of Famer, and just an absolute legend. And it's a very hard thing to read about and see the photos of him in the hospital. According to Mark's other daughter, Kenzie, she wrote on her Instagram stories that Hammer the dog saved Mark Coleman's life because the dog was barking to wake him up as the house fire was raging on, which is just an incredible thing. This, according to CNN, Mark Coleman's longtime friend and fellow former UFC fighter Wes Sims said on Facebook that Coleman is, quote, currently intubated and sedated in a hospital in Toledo, Ohio. Quote, I swear to God, he's one of the toughest individuals ever created, been through so much. It's a movie at this point. A movie at this point could not give his life work justice. Coleman's mother, Connie, posted on Facebook saying, thank God we are alive, and requesting prayers for Mark. And they mentioned that before turning to MMA, he was an NCAA champion, won the championship at Ohio State in '88, and competed in the '92 Summer Olympic Games in Barcelona. So love Mark Coleman. Everyone does. Everyone's pulling for him. Everyone's thinking about him. And there is a GoFundMe page that his family has started to help him and them deal with all the costs. This is what they wrote. To know Mark Coleman, you know he has the biggest heart. He is fierce, afraid of nothing, mentally loves the Lord and would do anything for his family. Tragedy struck in the early mornings of Tuesday, March 12th, where Mark awoke at 4 a.m. by his beloved Roddy Littlehammer to a house fire in his childhood home where he was visiting his parents. Mark, being the hero that he is and the fierce love he has for his family, managed to get his elderly parents out of the home unharmed. He went back in risking his life to save his dog. It is with great sadness that our beloved Littlehammer did not survive the fire, and the home is a total loss. Littlehammer is a true hero and will be truly missed. Mark was life-flighted to a hospital where he's needing a lot of prayer to get his lungs clear. His adult daughters, Mackenzie and Morgan, have not and will not leave their dad's side as he battles for his life. We all knew he was one of the best athletes. Now we know he is a true hero. All funds donated will go directly to Mark's living expenses as well as to support his adult daughters who will be off work and by his side, aiding in his recovery, as well as assisting in any necessities the family currently needs. We are faithful family and know God works miracles. Please keep praying with us that our hero has complete healing. With love, Kenzie and Morgan Coleman, Hammerhouse for life. So there's the GoFundMe page. If you are able to donate and support, please consider doing so. And if you just type in Mark Coleman GoFundMe on Google or wherever, this will pop up. And it's all over social media. I've retweeted it as well if you want to look on my feed. So much love to the great Mark Coleman, and definitely praying for him and hoping for the best. We'll move along now to Taco Enthusiast, who says, "Hi, Ariel. The UFC 299 in-person experience was really incredible. It was certainly the best combat sports event I've ever attended. However, when I start to think about the numbers, it's mind-blowing that fighters aren't getting paid more." And now he offers extremely conservative estimates below. So with a $14 million plus gate, $40 million in pay-per-view revenue, 500 or so thousand times $79 each, $79.99. $8 million in rights fees from ESPN per event, $300 million divided by 42, $50 million in sponsorship, $77 million in total of above revenue, not accounting for millions I'm positive I'm missing. Based on this very conservative and lackluster estimate, fighters could be paid the following, and you'd only total $21 million. $250K for an early prelim, $500K per prelim fighter, $750K per main card, $1.5 per co-main, $5 per main event fighter. In this model, you'd still have a low 27.3% of revenue going to the fighters. I'm no business savant. I run a nonprofit in my day-to-day, but who's advising some of these fighters? Why are they not people in their corners begging them to sign with other organizations or negotiate better contracts? How have fighters not gone on strike yet or effectively unionized? I know you've talked about this extensively, but after seeing the spectacle and amount of money at the event on Saturday, I'm bewildered. Well, they are the biggest and best promotion out there, and the fighters feel like this is what it's easy to say, why don't they go elsewhere? Why don't they negotiate? But look at what's happened to Mike Chandler as a result of going to the UFC. Look what could happen to Kale Harrison as a result of going to the UFC. But this is the thing that people miss when they say that we're negative and, we're critical of the UFC, and unfairly so. The UFC is on fire. Everything is up. Their rights fees are going up. Their sponsorship is up. Their pay-per-view numbers are up. Their gates are up, 14 million in Miami. The only thing that isn't collectively up is fighter pay. Does that not strike you as being a little bit off? The rising tide should lift all boats. 50% of the revenue in the NBA goes to the players. That means if everything is going up, it's still 50%. That's based on the collective bargaining agreement, not just in the NBA, NHL, NFL, MLB, etc. But while the top dogs are getting paid more than they were getting paid collectively maybe 6-7 years ago, it's still relatively the same. And the likes of Chael will be like, oh, it used to be 4, now it's 12. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that, Chael, and you know exactly that's not exactly what we're talking about. But unless there is some kind of collective voice, there is no reason to change. I love mixed martial arts. I love the UFC. If there wasn't a UFC, if there wasn't MMA, I wouldn't have fallen in love with it. I wouldn't have done a radio show in 2001. I wouldn't be still doing this 23 years later. There's nothing like what we saw on Saturday. Dustin Poirier doing what he did. Jack Della doing what he did. the performance from Sean O'Malley, and on and on and on it goes. Curtis Blades doing what he did, Joanne Wood, and what's to come in April and in May, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I would love to see these fighters, especially the ones that, you know, are giving it their all, sacrificing so much, and then have to go and do something else in their mid-30s, just get paid what they're worth. Just get paid what they are participating in. Meaning, if the entire company is just absolutely killing it, which they are, and they deserve all the credit in the world for getting to this point to where they're getting $14 million in gate, let alone what they're getting on pay-per-view and rights fees and sponsorship and all that, I would just love to see them participate as the top organization, and the people involved in said organization should participate. So that's all. And this breakdown, while I know it's very loose, is a very easy way to digest just how much is being left on the table as far as the fighters are concerned. All I've always wanted them to do is just come together. And if you guys feel as a collective unit that this is the best deal for you, then God bless. That's on you. That doesn't happen. The managers don't collectively come together. The fighters don't collectively come together. So everyone is kind of just sinking or swimming on their own. And I don't think they fully understand, quite frankly, because there have been efforts to do this and they've never gotten off the ground for various reasons. I don't think they fully understand how beneficial it would be if they did have a collective voice. But there's only so much that one can say and do. It doesn't ultimately affect us. I have no say in it. I would just love to see them have a collective voice, and not just when it comes to fighter pay, but even things like the drug testing. They should be able to say, no, we don't want to be drug tested 365, 24/7. No, we don't have to, do the whereabouts app and tell you where we are 365, 24/7. Just like other athletes don't have to do that. All this should be collectively bargained. That's it. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens next April. Literally 2 days after UFC 300 is when, at least for now, the trial, class action lawsuit, Lee versus UFC, might be some longer name than that, but you know the one I'm talking about. That's when it kicks off. Do we make it to that point? And if we do make it to that point, once it's all said and done, what does that do to the state of things? Fighters, UFC, everyone in between. So we'll see. Tayshawn 888, Ariel and crew, agree or disagree? Sean O'Malley is the reason for UFC 299's success, or UFC is trying to build Sean for upcoming negotiations as the next Conor, and in fact, it was the strength of the card for the pay-per-view success? Debate. I mean, Sean O'Malley is a huge star. Look at what happened in Boston. Look at what happened in Miami. It's just hard. I mean, it's hard to break down just how much of that pie goes to just his success because A, UFC is on fire. B, Miami is on fire. And C, it was a star-studded card from top to bottom. So, I don't know. Ultimately, I don't know. But I would say that he deserves a ton of success. I do think he's one of the most popular fighters in the UFC. And I do think he's certainly helped. How much? Impossible to know, because I also think the rest of the card helped too, having all those names on there. Look, it did great last year. Not as good, but it did great last year when it was Izzy versus Pereira, and they're huge starts too. So it's hard to fully break it down, but I think it would be unfair to not give him the credit that he is due. This is from John 1090. Hey, Ariel, you said your fastest mile is probably around 9 minutes, but we never found out GC's running stats. What's his fastest mile? Hashtag Mysterious Frank is a god amongst men. Hashtag who me?
He was running laps right now. He's back.
Fastest mile ever? I mean, that would come like back in high school, back in like my peak running days.
No, right now. What's your fastest?
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
I could still easily clock a sub 7.
For real?
For sure.
Like right now, we say we're going in 30 minutes.
Oh, easily, yeah. We could go right now. Sub 7. I'm going for 1 mile.
What are we doing? Sub 7? Were we talking 6.5? We're talking what? 6:45? 6:59?
No, I could probably clock like a 6:30. Yeah.
Sheesh. What's the fastest you've ever done?
Oh, like a 5:18 in high school.
Holy
smokes. But that's on a track running 1 mile and knowing that I can just absolutely die.
You just unloaded it.
Yeah. But I used to run long distance, track and cross.
That was your thing. You have the body type.
Yeah, long. Track more so. But then like in the falls, I would just do cross country as well, which is just more long running also.
Would you do javelin?
No.
High jump?
No, I didn't.
Long jump?
None of the field stuff.
That's interesting. I was big into the field. No, I wasn't. I have tree trunk legs, you know?
Shot put.
Shot put. What is that again? That's this one?
Big ball on the
Yeah.
shoulder.
Oh, it's so weird on your neck.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be huge for that. Tree trunk legs, like you said.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. So, yeah, people are asking about your running skills.
Maybe me and Frank will go out to the track and see what I can do.
That's pretty impressive.
At my elder age now.
Speaking of Frank, here's a question for GC and Frank. This is from Jax GT. I was watching Fight Feast and noticed that when GC dunked his croqueta in the sauce, he double dipped. Now, I'm well aware of what they say about assumptions, but I would assume that Frank was okay with that. So I don't want to speak on your behalf, Frank, but and do we have video footage of this? Because you did a great job once again with the Fight Feast. This time it was a bit of a Cubano feel because of Miami. Yeah. Is it in fact true?
We sure did. I mean, we could actually fast forward in the tape, I believe. If we want to pull it up, we can get to the moment the croquetas happen and really...
okay, let's see if we
UFC
can.
299 fight day. The promotion returns to the 305.
It's a great Miami suit. Yeah. We can fast forward right here.
Yeah.
Let's get to the croquetas. You know, now we're inside a beautiful place. Mojito's great, man.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
But it's ham, onion, butter, milk,
so we go
oil,
big old dunk.
And what is combine all that into a mix?
Finish it off.
Deep fry it.
Get another dip.
Let me tell you,
now, is this yours or are you sharing it with Frank?
Okay, so
have you ever had a hush puppy?
We were sharing this.
Okay.
And I'm not going to lie, in the moment that it happened, I thought to myself...
Okay, so what you did here was the move. That was the move.
Yeah.
You broke it in half.
Yep.
Yeah.
But in my defense, you know, this is something we're creating to put out there. Frank's feelings on double dipping was out the window.
Okay.
As I was doing it, I was recognizing that I was doing it. I was like, I don't know if Frank's going to be upset with this. Other people might get upset with this. Other people might bring this up to me. But I mean, in the name of entertainment, I was going back in for another dip.
Okay, fair enough. Generally, though, how do you feel about double dipping?
No, I'm not a big double dipper.
Yeah.
Rarely, if ever. If it's my own, then I mean, yeah, we're double dipping for sure. But rarely if I'm sharing with someone. My girlfriend, you know, she can just kind of deal with it.
Yeah, it's different.
But if I'm sharing with Frank, no, I'm not double dipping. No way.
Honestly, I'm so anti-double dipping. Even if I'm with a loved one, I'm not doing it because I'm programmed not to do it.
Nope.
I just
feel with the wife.
Well, it's just like, who wants saliva in the dip?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Just in general, you know?
That's true.
Frank, how'd you feel about this? When you saw him doing it, were you disgusted?
In this context, it doesn't bother me at all. I will say that I have noticed it more because I'm filming him while he's eating, and I'm like intently watching. So like I've seen everything, like something get into his beard, fall into the food, and I'm just like, you know what? It is what it is. And he's enjoying himself. Like if he was spitting something out because it was gross or whatever, that's a different story. But like he was enjoying himself. It's fine.
If we can actually pull up the film again here and do another fast forward. I hate to do this to Andy. A lot of people noticed. If we can just move ahead to the Ropa Vieja. A lot of people noticed a rogue bean that I lost a lot of food, and if we can just go right here, we can just play it from here. Lose a lot of beans, obviously a white suit. People wanted to know if it got onto the suit. Yeah, if you'll see as I go for the bite. Yeah, big chunk fell off there. Where did it go? Did it go on the plate? I can confirm it did just stay on the plate. Did not get on the suit. Wore the suit again on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
So it was all good.
Didn't even comment like how dirty the table was when they cleared the tables, and I was like, your side's a lot dirtier than mine.
Yeah,
oh, yeah. I mean, we make a mess.
What's in the croqueta?
All right, so it's like a ham paste almost. It's
wow, okay.
It's like ham, onions, butter, oil, all this, and you like combine it all, and then you fry that.
I can't partake.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, we could get you a beef one.
Okay, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean they're incredible.
That was the fourth you've done?
Fourth, yeah.
Mexican, Georgian,
Canadian, and Cuban.
Rank them?
Man, that's tough. I think yeah, I'm gonna have to do this in front of you. I think I'm gonna go Mexican 1.
Okay.
One being
Georgian
best.
2. Yeah, 1 being best.
Yeah.
Mexican and Georgian are like the clear 2. And then I would go Cuban and then Canadian.
Yeah.
But while I say that, all 4 of them were great.
I've been great. No duds so far.
Thoroughly enjoyed, yeah. And we got ideas for 5, 6, and 7.
Okay. The next one, I guess, would be... What would the next one be?
Actually, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yeah. Atlantic City.
Next one's Atlantic City.
Yeah.
That's going to be something.
That's
On
gonna be a good
location.
one. Yeah, on location, yeah.
Cross. Hey, crew, I just bought tickets for Knucklemania 4 in LA. Mike Perry versus Thiago Alves. This will be my first combat sports event, and I'm super excited. My questions to GC is if he would put BKFC on his list of live events to go to one time. Imagine what those bare knuckle hits would sound like live.
I would 1,000% go to a BKFC event, no doubt.
Looks like it's a great time.
Feels like something that I want to experience at least once.
Still haven't been to a UFC pay-per-view, right?
Still haven't been.
It's going to happen.
Newark rumors?
Newark rumors, yeah, there are rumors. So there's a question about that here.
That's my area.
Debo, Shalom, Ariel, and GC and Rick, what do you think of the Florida State Athletic Commission shortening the weigh-in window for UFC 299? It felt like it could make it harder for fighters who are trying to cut more weight or struggling with the weight cut. Do you think they should leave it as a 2-hour window? I do. I like the 2-hour window. 1 hour, I don't think it's the biggest deal. It also depends on, are you taking away that hour post weighing in, meaning if you're off by a pound, you still get that extra hour. But generally, I feel like we're in a good spot here with the 2 hours. And then the extra hour if you need it. I'm all about trying to make this as easy and comfortable for the fighters because it's a hellacious thing that they're put through. So I would love to see that happen. And really remain that way. I really think that it should just be the 2 hours. I have not seen any explanation as to why they reduced it to an hour. I don't think there were any issues, right? No one missed weight. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know I was in a different time zone, but I don't think anyone did. But yeah, I kind of like the 2 hours. Ruben, hey, Ariel and the crew. I watched Friday and Saturday's watch parties, and GC's live reactions to his bets not hitting was sad to watch. But overall, great weekend for combat sports. Given their recent performances, what trajectory do you foresee for Chito, Vera, and Benoit Saint-Denis, and how do you think they will fare against the top contenders moving forward? How much fights away do you think each are from a title eliminator or title fight? Well, obviously, they're in different spots, right? One guy is losing a title fight. The other guy is on the come-up. And I know he was fighting a top-level guy, but he's still on the come-up, in my opinion. Chito's spot, I think, is a tougher one because you've got the likes of, Merab coming up, and you've got the likes of Umar and Corey Sandhagen, who he's already fought and lost to. So it's a tough spot. Not saying it's impossible. I always thought that he would fight for the belt, and he did, and think that he could definitely get right back to that spot. It just depends on who's the champion and how's the matchup. Benoit, Benoit is still a top 10 guy. He just has to take a step back and work his way back up here. He didn't lose a title fight. He took a massive leap. I think he was 11 or 12 when this fight got announced, and DP was 1 or 2. So now you just kind of slow the roll a little bit and you work your way back up. It's not as big, I think, of a setback as losing a title fight and now having to kind of start the climb all over again, if that makes sense, given where he was in line. There are so many other guys ahead of him. He was jumping the line to a degree, not from a skill standpoint, but from a resume and ranking standpoint. Can I just say also, like, I don't get the Umar thing. And I saw an interview with Merab in the Schmo, and I agree 100% with Merab. Why are we so insistent on Umar fighting Corey? Who's his signature win? Who's his top 5 win? Who's his top 3 win? Who's his top 10 win? Why is he getting pushed to the front of the line? Like, if his last name was something other than Nurmagomedov, anything, Khalidov, anything, would we be talking about him like this? Does his last performance warrant this? I don't understand this thing where it's like, yeah, Corey, you're going to fight me and I'm going to call the shots. Like, what is he ranked right now? Can someone explain this to me? Why is he being treated different than everyone else? Can someone explain it?
Well, the storyline that has been pushed is that nobody in those ranking positions that you're talking about wants to fight him. He's the guy that everybody does not want to fight. So the logic would dictate he cannot get those fights to then earn the Corey opportunity and has to jump straight to the Corey opportunity because Corey will give it to him.
So he's okay.
This is what has been laid out. Everybody is ducking Umar is the narrative.
Do we believe this?
I don't know. I'll tell you this: if I was a 15-8 ranked bantamweight, I wouldn't want to fight him. So it's believable.
Yeah. Do you think he's a future title contender?
Yep.
I mean, there's some tough guys out there, but yes, it's all about matchups. I mean, I'm down to see the fight. I just think that like this whole thing that like, yeah, it has to be Corey versus Umar next. Like, what? Why does it have to be Corey versus Umar? Why can't Corey fight? I don't know.
Give a name. Will they fight him? Is the question.
Will who fight him? Umar?
Whoever you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Chito versus Umar?
Will that person give him the opportunity?
I want to see Chito versus Peter Yan.
I mean, just think about it this way. We recently talked about like how gangster it was that Dustin gave Benoit that opportunity, right? It's rare. It's not something that happens all the time. I don't think he had to,
but yes.
No, but it's not something that happens all the time, and that's why we can appreciate it. I feel the same way about Corey.
1,000%.
He's a gangster. He's a guy
the
who would
Corey
do that.
one, they booked it. Like it was going to happen.
It was already there, yeah.
No, I know, but they booked it because I feel like he was kind of like forced to take it, you know? That was my opinion on it.
I think he's open to it, though.
Yeah. If he wins that one, can he get a title shot?
I hope so.
I would like that.
Or they run back Corey Piotr and do a second one. That first fight was fantastic.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
My fight of the year that year. Incredible fight.
And he took it on short notice, too.
Yeah.
Santiago Barcos. Hello, crew. Just want your opinion on the atmosphere that these South American people bring to the events. Do you think it's time that the UFC go more in those territories? I was the one who tagged you guys on the Twitter videos of the Ecuadorians before 299. Oh, those videos were amazing. I love those videos. And there was a period where, you know, before the pandemic, Argentina and Chile, etc. Gosh, I would love for them to go to Ecuador. Absolutely love it. Imagine an event, imagine a fight night headlined by Chito in Ecuador. It would be insane. I love the atmosphere. I love the nationalism. Even it wasn't as many people, but like even when Francis fought, like you were hearing the vuvuzelas, you were seeing the flags. Like I love that stuff, and it was incredible the turnout for Chito in Miami. So yes, the Brazilian fans are great. They're passionate. Like that's all we want. I don't care who they're rooting for. Passion, support, nationalism. It's great to see. It's what makes fighting fun. We love those atmospheres. It just makes it all feel that much bigger. Pecan Pie up in this. Hey, Ariel, there was a lot of online backlash regarding Bo Nickal being placed on the main card of UFC 300. What are your thoughts on his placement on the main card? Honestly, I get it. Look, you look at all those names, like, you know, we talked about this, comparing it to Sage and Northcutt back at 200. Like, obviously, Cody Brundage isn't on the level of those guys, but this is all about Bo Nickal. I'm not really bothered. I'm really not. I knew everyone would be bothered, but like, I really don't think there's a big difference. I don't feel like there's a difference between the main card and the prelims. I really don't. It makes no difference to me. It doesn't make me feel less about a fight or more about a fight if it's on the first fight or second fight of the main card as opposed to the last fight of the prelims. Like, who cares? It's all important. The stakes are the same. You're not gaining anything by being on the main card. You're not getting paid more money. And again, like I've said, like I just said to Kayla, you're probably going to be seen by more people. So,
quick question.
People get
Preach,
upset.
brother.
So
Preach,
dumb.
brother.
So dumb. Yes, Frank.
When it was originally announced, he was on the prelim?
It was never
that not
announced. No, I think people were just like, oh yeah, of course,
Assuming.
the Cody Brundage, you know.
Because I remember him saying on the show, he was like, I'm not prelim material. I have to be on a main card. And
Yes.
I thought maybe he made a case to make sure that happened with this.
By the way, maybe there's a clause in his contract which states he can't be on a prelim. And if so, God bless. Right? If so, then good for him. By the way, I just got a press release. We were talking about this earlier. According to one book, Masvidal minus 375, Diaz plus 275.
Wow. That's just like you just kind of just bet on Diaz. I mean, minus 400 for Masvidal.
Yo, crazy, right?
That's a sizable favor right there.
Yeah. What do you think? Shocking?
Minus 400. I just can't have that sort of confidence in Jorge Masvidal in a boxing match.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Where's this thing? Okay. Lloyd. Oh, this is going to get fun now. Good day, Ariel and crew. Great show Monday, but something to me really needs to be brought up here. The fact that you guys are supporting the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight to me is quite honestly disgusting. Shame on you all for not calling this what it is. That to me and to a lot of people is not entertainment. It is an embarrassment to where we are at in the modern era of fighting. In recent years, Mike Tyson has been pictured walking with a cane, for fuck's sake. He will be 58 years old when this quote-unquote fight happens. I don't care that it'll make a little money. I don't care if it may prove Jake Paul is something. I don't care if it will do numbers. I find it disappointing that you don't call this out. If you continue to support this debacle and Mike Tyson ends up getting hurt because of it all, no one will want the revisionist history of saying he shouldn't have taken the fight. Not a fan of any of this, Lloyd. So at the top of the show last episode, Monday, I threw out what was the biggest story of the weekend. And GC and Rick said this story in large part, and correct me if I'm wrong, in large part because of the platform, because of the business side of things, which is Netflix is getting into live combat sports. That's a massive story, and that can't, all we talk about in many respects is business, right? This person signing with this person getting paid this opportunity, like it all comes down to business. It is, as who said earlier in the day, was it Kayla? The fight business, right? The prize fighting business.
Not the friends business.
Yes. And so I believe that's what we were talking about. If it was, and I'm going to give the guys a chance to obviously respond as well. If it was Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson on any other platform, the platforms that are commonly airing combat sports these days, I don't know if that would be their answer, but I do think the Netflix thing made it into a massive, massive fight. As I also said here and in other places, I'm still kind of digesting all of this because I liked, unlike Rick, I kind of liked the path of like beating up a bunch of no-namers and let's see how far this can take us until we get to some real fights. Now, there are some people who hated that, and I said I thought it was interesting that people were saying that first he's a novice and now they're saying he's going to kill Mike Tyson. Well, which one is it? And it just seems like he can do no right as far as the types of matchups that he's getting. He's either fighting the traditional matchup that you're fighting at 8-1, or he's fighting an influencer, or he's fighting an MMA fighter, or now he's fighting a legend. But like, each one is bringing its own set of detractors and criticism. And I guess that means to a degree that you're doing something right because people at least care. Ultimately, I don't think any of us said, oh, we're so excited about this because it's going to make a load of money. I don't think any of us are saying that it's going to prove that Jake Paul is X, Y, or Z. It's just reacting to the, wow, Mike Tyson at 57, soon to be 58, is fighting Jake Paul at 27 or so. That's the initial reaction. Now let's see the state that Mike is in the buildup. Let's see the state that Jake is in the buildup. Let's see if it's a pro bout or an exhibition bout. Let's see what the rules are. And also, I'm very curious to see what the rest of the card looks like. Are they going to use this as an opportunity to showcase legitimate boxing talent on the biggest stage possible? Maybe the most watched event in combat sports history. There's still a lot of things to be answered. So I know all of you want us to come out and have some super hot take, just like you all did when Francis Ngannou left the UFC and were ultimately wrong 6, 7, 8 months later because the story had to play out. And once it played out, everyone who said that he quote-unquote fumbled the bag was proven to be wrong. I don't think, and I think I speak for the other guys, like we don't feel like we have to make some grandiose statement on all of this. Now, I see some people saying like, oh, you guys weren't a fan of Vitor Belfort versus Evander Holyfield. We're comparing Vitor to Jake Paul now. Jake Paul is now a former UFC champion. On a lot, historically, Vitor has, been popped for PEDs. Like, we're comparing that now. So first he was a bum, then he was a novice. Now he's Vitor Belfort, even Vitor Belfort in his 40s. So, like, we keep moving the goalposts here. All we're saying is this is a big freaking deal. It's a big freaking deal because everyone is talking about it, clearly because it's Mike Tyson and Jake Paul on Netflix in Arlington at AT&T Stadium. Those are the facts. That makes it a big deal. Don't like it, don't like it, like it. That's for you to decide. But I think ultimately what we were trying to say is this is a massive story. And according to GC and Rick, the biggest story of the weekend, certainly from a business standpoint and a fight business standpoint. So, like, we're not sitting here endorsing it. We're not sitting here saying it's the biggest fight of the year. We're not sitting here saying you must watch it, and if you don't watch it, you're a dummy or anything like that. And I'll tell you right now, like, I have no deal in place to work this event. I don't work for Netflix. I haven't been formally asked to do anything. If I did, and that could happen, if I did, I would be open to it because it's freaking Netflix and it's going to be a massive deal. And I'm curious about, like I said, the rest of the card. But even if you work an event, if you cover an event, that's not you necessarily endorse. Like, you may not like the fights on the card. You may not like the matchups. Of course, I would rather see Jake Paul fight a bigger name than Ryan Borland, even though, I understood the game plan there, and this is a departure from that. Just because you're working the assignment, working the card, it doesn't mean you necessarily are endorsing the whole freaking thing. I could tell you other broadcasters who are doing other fight events, like, it's not your place to plant your flag if you are called upon to work the assignment. Here on this show, I can sort of like give my thoughts and wax poetic about certain things, but don't confuse the two. Just like I said, going to Saudi Arabia, I'm going there to work for DAZN. So if the fight is happening, in Africa or Saudi Arabia or Florida, or it's not like, in my mind, I'm going there to cover the fight. I'm not going there to endorse anything. I'm not going there. And that's why I don't want to get paid by anyone but the broadcaster. So I know that everyone is all fired up about this. And what I think is also interesting, and someone else brings this up later, but I'll address it here. I talk about the people who, with their sanctimonious takes, who get all high and mighty about Jake Paul and all this stuff and do a whole bunch of YouTube videos about it and profit off of it, and don't seem to have the same type of passion about, the integrity of MMA and, the nuts and bolts stuff, and won't do videos on fight nights at the Apex and all that stuff because that stuff doesn't draw numbers. And they say, well, you do the same about the UFC. Well, first of all, I don't cut a single thing, and they can attest to this. I don't cut a single thing when it comes to this. I have no say in what gets cut. I don't profit off of what gets cut. It doesn't matter to me if one video gets cut, no videos get cut, 8 videos get cut. It doesn't matter. I don't do that. And I've told you this before. And I would also say that 95% of the stuff we talk about on this show is positive towards the UFC. So again, everyone changes things. Everyone tries to get these gotcha moments. But I think we keep it pretty damn real on this show. And just because you want us to all follow in whatever sentiment that you have, just like you wanted us all to follow in the sentiment that you had about Francis Ngannou leaving the UFC and wanted to prove that he was wrong, and we all told you that he was right, and ultimately we were proven right that he wasn't wrong, we're not going to do the same with this developing story. That's how I feel about my sentiment and my feelings about it right now. Rick, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, well said. A few things. For one, if you find it that repulsive, if you find it that disgusting, if that's your position, more power to you. Don't watch. Like, vote. You have a say in this. Nobody is, as Ariel said, this is not an endorsement. I don't care. I personally don't. I can speak for the rest of everybody. We don't care if you watch or not. I personally could not care less if you watched or not. So if you are repulsed by it, if you do not want to watch it, do not watch it. More power to you. I support you fully. Do whatever you want with your time. Second to that, the idea of like, of course, Jake is fighting a 60-year-old man. Yeah, that's the point, right? Like, if Jake Paul was fighting Mike Tyson at any other point in his life, he'd get his head caved in. And that's the whole point. That's why this fight is happening, is because the playing field has been evened. Now, certainly I would make the argument, I'm not oblivious, I would make the argument that now it's tipped in Paul's favor. But yeah, of course he's fighting 58-year-old Mike Tyson, because if he was fighting 48-year-old Mike Tyson, he'd end up on a stretcher. So that's the whole point. That's why this is happening. If it were any other time in history, it wouldn't be happening, obviously. That's what the point of this is. Third, from an actual competitive standpoint, like, I don't really care about Jake Paul's boxing career. Like, to me, like, whether he's fighting Ryan Borland, whether he's fighting Mike Tyson, whether he's fighting Canelo, I'm not that interested because I don't think he's a championship level boxer. I don't particularly care about his boxing skills. I don't care about his development. I don't care about his progression. So all I personally want from Jake Paul is to put on big events. He is one of few fighters capable of doing that. In this scenario, he is doing that. And I do not care about Ryan Borland or Andre August fights. I think it's a waste of time and effort and energy by people. So in this scenario, we are getting a big event. Is everybody going to watch it? No. A lot of people are going to watch it. And if you don't watch it, it's not an indictment on you. If you do watch it, it's not an indictment on you. It is what it is. And then the last thing I'll say, Mike Tyson is a grown man. Mike Tyson is the one who is opting to make this decision. I think Ben Davison summed it up quite nicely. Like, yeah, it's not something that he's loving, but this is Mike's decision to make, and he's the one who's going to make that decision. And now it's up to him, and it's up to the commission to protect him. Me voicing on Twitter or even on this show, oh man, I'm really concerned about Mike, isn't going to make a damn bit of difference to Mike Tyson and his life. And so that's not my motivation. I don't care about doing that. Would I rather see Jake Paul fighting somebody younger? Certainly. Sure. But I don't care about either, if I'm being honest. There's negligible difference for me for that. So if you are somebody in the camp who does not care to watch this because you're disgusted by it, don't. I support you fully. Go for it.
And I will also add, before I throw it to GC if he wants to weigh in, one thing that drives me nuts is when people say, like, oh, why don't you criticize Golden Boy for what they pay prelim fighters? Or, oh, why don't you criticize Matchroom? Or, oh, why don't you criticize the PFL? Why? Like, how does that make any sense? They're not the same. The UFC, what I would criticize the UFC about doesn't make any sense to criticize other promotions because they're not on the same level. And so I don't view MVP with 4 fighters on their stable, 2 years old or 3 years old, the same as the UFC. Of course the UFC isn't putting on a fight like this. The UFC isn't putting on Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz either. They're not putting on Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley or Ben Askren or anything like that. They're not signing fighters like Andre August or Ryan Borland. It's a completely different business model. So things that I would criticize Matchroom or Golden Boy or PFL or One Championship aren't things that apply to UFC and vice versa. So you can't say, like, yeah, we're going to compare a promotion that makes 1/10 the revenue that the UFC does and think that they should be paying the same. Like a 14, I don't even know if PFL has ever done a $14 million gate combined in all their events in their history in 7 years. And we're going to compare the same. So, like, again, I understand that people just kind of come in and out and we live and breathe this, but your criticisms are so completely off when you try to get us in these gotcha moments that it's frustrating to read and not want to bang your head against the wall, but you can't hold everyone to the same sort of standards and scrutiny because they're not all on the same level playing field. Hopefully that makes sense. GC, you want to weigh in on something?
Yeah, I don't have a ton to say. I mean, it's what Rick said. It's what Anthony Joshua said on Saturday. It is what it is. The fight right now is going to take place, whether I watch it or not, whether my opinion is for or against it. It's going to take place. And we were asked going over on Monday, what was the biggest story of the weekend? In my opinion, Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson in front of tens of thousands of people at AT&T Stadium, one of the biggest stadiums in America on Netflix, made for the biggest story of the weekend. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say on it.
It's just something that I think everyone just wants us to shit all over it. Maybe because of Jake Paul's relationship with MMA, maybe because of the fact that it's Mike Tyson. I've not seen this video that people are talking about with the cane. I did see Mike Tyson fight Roy Jones 4 years ago or 3.5 years ago. And I thought he obviously looked not like the Mike Tyson of old, but looked pretty damn good and in pretty damn good shape. And I guess this is the best way that I could sum up. Like, I don't really know ultimately how to feel at this time before seeing them, before seeing him in particular. And this is why hopefully you have commissions in place. A lot of this comes down to Texas. How are they going to sanction this? What are the rules? What are the limitations, all that stuff. That's quite literally their job. Not our job, their job. So let's see what they come up with. Hopefully they put him through a litany of tests and exams and things of that nature to determine what's the healthiest and safest route for this fight to happen.
Also, to be clear, like, my excitement for the fight is not like if I was doing it out of 10, it would be like a 3 or a 4. Like the fight itself, watching them in the ring, I'm really not that excited for it. And if they make it an exhibition, then I really won't be excited for it. But it's still a massive story.
This is from Craig. Hi, Ariel. Honest question. Would you support a fight with a 30-year age gap if it was not someone with whom you have a working relationship with? Love you in the show, but this feels a bit dodgy, mate. Again, I've never been paid by MVP. I've never been paid by Jake or Nikisa or anyone like that. Obviously, I think they like when I work the events, and the broadcasters like when I work those events. And they think, you know, when the MMA stuff, that's how it all started. There was the crossover, and then you kind of prove your worth, and people like when you're there. But I had no problem, you know, hitting Jake back when he was calling me out on Twitter during that Luke Rockhold Paulo Costa fight. And I had a quote-unquote working relationship with him then. No problem doing that. So I hope that I've proven that I have no problem calling things as I see it. And right now I just feel like it's the worst answer possible, but like, it is what it is. I want to see how the whole card is constructed. I want to see what the rules are. I want to see what is it pro or is it exhibit. I just want to see. There's still some answers to be revealed to us. Joshua 95. Wagwan, Ariel, and crew. Long time, first time. I understand how big of a deal it is that Netflix are moving into the live sports / combat business. I also understand Rick's point that Jake should be in big fights, and the normal boxer route isn't it. I'm a Jake Paul fan to a certain extent, have enjoyed the splash he's made in the MMA and boxing world. However, I'm struggling to wrap my head around how anyone can be okay with a young, fit 27-year-old with knockout power fighting a what will be 58-year-old man. Mike Tyson or not, it is morally wrong in every way. Sorry for being a bit of a snowflake, but I really don't get it. Massive fan of you and all and everything you do. You've helped me get through a lot over the years. Peace and love.
It's more of the same. Like, there's this idea that there's like this universal taste, that it's like that everything is a comparable product, right? Like, if you're saying that Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson is acceptable, then you're saying you don't really like Benoit Saint Denis versus Dustin Poirier, because those things are exactly equal, and you either like one or the other. It's just not reality. The taste is different. There's some people who are going to watch slap fighting, and there's some people who are not going to watch it. There's some people who are going to watch this, and there's some people who are not going to watch it. Everything has its own line. Every person has their own individual taste. If you do not like it, God bless. Like, there's nobody forcing anybody to watch this. It is the outrage is being brought by people who are saying, don't watch this, don't support this. So don't. Nobody on the other side of any part of this debate, nobody saying what Ariel is saying. So I'll use Ariel as an example, because I think Ariel and I are aligned mostly, but slightly different in certain regards. But Ariel is saying, I need to see more. I need to hear more. I need to understand what's happening. And until then, I'm just saying, I don't know what to make of it yet. Let's carry on and see what happens. Anybody saying that is endorsing it in some capacity. How is that possible? Like, what is the logic behind the idea that like that is a vote for lack of decency or something like that? Like, there's just bad intentions coming from a lot of people who want everybody universally to condemn this, which is fine. You can feel that way, but it's just not real. It's just not reality. Like, no one thing everybody's going to come out and just be like, yes, we're all on the same page and we agree 100% with everything that everybody else has said. It's just not real. It's just not real. Like, whatever you want for it, it's not. So don't watch. Period.
And I will also say that we need to take who sometimes seem to be the loudest dissenters to these off-brand events. We need to take, I think, their point of view with a bit of grain of salt. Just like you want to say about me, that I worked, you know, it does often feel like the loudest dissenters are the ones who are looking to curry favor with the UFC brass by shitting on these types of things and turning a blind eye to actual legitimate issues in the world of combat sports, MMA or not. It's just like it's like clockwork every time. You can see it coming a mile away. So,
but even if they were genuine, right? I'm not going out there myself. Let's say they were.
Yeah.
I accept your point. I think there's accuracy to it. But even if they were genuine, I'm not coming out and saying, how could you stand against this fight? How could you not think that this is great? I'm not trying to sway anybody's opinion. I don't personally care about their opinion. But the other side of the argument is always saying, how could you? How could you do this? How could you do this? How do you not agree with me? I just don't. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I don't. Like, that's just the reality. But I'm not trying to change your opinion. I'm not concerned about your opinion. You can like it or not like it. I'm not after your opinion. However you feel about it is however you feel about it. So even if they are genuine, that's their opinion. But they don't need to come after my opinion or your opinion or somebody else's opinion. That is what it is.
James, welcome back, Ariel. Do you think Dustin will get the next title shot? If not, who do you see him fighting next? Also, question for GC, when are we getting that MMA Hour merch? I think there's a chance Dustin gets it. I think it's going to be interesting to see what will headline that 302 card in June. Islam seems to really want to fight in June. So, I don't know. I think there's a chance. I don't think it's a crazy thing, especially if, I don't know, if Max and Gaethje beat each other up, and if, given the good vibes that Dustin has generated since that win on Saturday, I don't think that many people would be too upset, and I certainly wouldn't be. So I think there's a shot. Here's a good story from Mark, and I don't know anything more than that at this time, just for the record. Konas ata to Ariel. Quick story question. I was in Paris last week with some French work colleagues. It was Thursday night, sitting in McDonald's, post some beers. It was that time where people started looking at their phones. Then suddenly they started speaking in French, mentioning Cédric. I was thinking, no way in hell are these guys actually talking about the same Cédric. They were, but these girls have zero interest in MMA. I asked them, are they MMA fans? And they said no, but they like Cédric Doumbé. I couldn't believe how popular he was. So my question is there another person who's more popular than the sport itself in a given country? Amazed. He's up there. He is someone who seems to cross over. Is there someone bigger? I mean, I can't speak for all the countries out there, but I don't know if you guys have a different example, but like, he definitely seems, given the country, big or small, he seems to be as mainstream as it gets. Am I wrong? In that particular country, in his home country.
Yeah, in France.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if there's another person who hails from another country who breaks through like he seems to break through. Does that make sense? Maybe Khabib in Russia? I don't know.
France to show up, the celebrities, the engagement that he gets on social media is like otherworldly.
Yeah.
What I think is more interesting to it, because I don't know if he's like, the top 5 of that, but certainly a notable name. What's interesting about it is how new he is to the game and having that kind of power, right? Typically, that's something that's built up. Typically, that's something that you don't come with. And he has it built in, and it's early in his MMA career, and somehow he has kind of captured everybody's imagination and attention in that way. That's what I think is significant about it, just how quickly he's done it, or how early in his MMA career he's been able to do it.
Right. Yeah, he's that guy. King Zalo, greetings, Ariel and crew. Hope all is well. You ducked my question the other week, so I'll give it one more shot. It's time for the Super Bowl of darts, the UFC 300 of darts, tourney-style competition with New York's finest El Nariz, Money Burks himself, and the one and only mysterious Frankie. One night, one dream, a chance to take all the glory. Stop ducking, GC. Let's do it, Helwani. What do you guys think? Should we make this into a special... I saw the guys over... Didn't the Barstool guys do like a free throw competition on YouTube?
Oh, yeah, where they tried to make like 41 consecutive free throws. It took them like 18 hours or something.
Did they actually nail it?
Yeah, they got it eventually.
Damn, that is stressful.
It was when they signed up with DraftKings. I think like Dave Portnoy had to hit the last one, and he's terrible at them, and it was a whole thing.
They had like a whole order. He had to hit 2 in a row in the middle, or he had to hit the 41st and the 31st. Yeah. It was a whole thing.
They were mimicking the Miami Heat's like record-breaking, like hitting as a team 40 free throws in a row, like in live NBA games.
So do you think we should do a special event like that?
Yeah, I'm down. I mean, I'll smoke y'all for sure.
Wow.
And I gave Mike Heck to work on Saturday. It's easy money.
I mean, we see how you do get fired up. I saw you during the Street Fighter competition.
Yeah. I mean, Rick gave me the business there, though.
Rick, are you in?
I wasn't on that list, so I'm
No,
out.
you are.
Very fortunate. No, it's I heard GC, Ariel, and Frank. So I'm happy
no,
to
if
not
New York's
be
finest.
involved.
I think New York's finest is you.
That would be you. Sorry.
You know, I don't
Sounds like you're
hear a
ducking.
name, so I'm gonna opt out.
A
Is it
four-man
collaborative?
tournament?
Are we all together? Here's the problem. I'm gonna sync you guys, and I don't want to do that.
What is
No.
Like,
I thought we were going against each other.
Yeah, we're going against each other. It's not like a collective.
Oh, then I'll do it and just be like a layup. Sure,
Wow,
I'll participate and just be
so much
like,
passion.
Not my thing. It's not my bag. Sorry.
Frank?
Yeah, man, of course.
Wow. This is
Break out the luchador?
this is
It's
DOA.
gonna happen.
All right, maybe we'll do a big
Just say it's DOA.
yeah.
This is to become the MMA Hour darts champion?
Uh-huh.
Can we bring in like Sky and the other
Everyone.
the
Yeah.
other
It's
top
true. I mean,
competitors?
Sky.
All the big dogs. Michael Rappaport.
Yeah.
No.
I was thinking maybe like the top three. Maybe
Who is the top three? I think Eddie got 8. Did he get 8?
I was gonna say I think Eddie needs to be in there. Who else? I feel like someone else had a great one. Oh, and then we bring Jack Shore in too.
Ah, yes.
And
Who
then
could
one more.
forget?
So we have four MMA Hour and then 4 of the people that have been on the show.
Cody Rhodes wants a rematch.
There we go. Cody Rhodes, Jack Shore, Eddie Hearn, Sky Nicholson, an eclectic crew.
Alex Pereira, I think, is going to kill me the next time we ever do this. Here's Luis. Hey, Ariel, no question, but just appreciation for getting DP on Monday's show. I've been a fan of his for years, and my fandom continues to grow, and not just the fighter, but the man. He's truly one of a kind, and knowing he's closer to the end than the beginning is a bummer. I love the appreciation he gets while he's still here, and am rooting for him to get another crack at the title. You're the man, Dustin, and also just a man. Great feedback from that interview, and in particular the last spot where he was talking about some of the stuff he's been through, so I appreciate that very, very much. I mean, how could you not be a DP fan? Even if you are a BSD fan, I feel like it's hard not to respect the guy.
How about did you see all like the fighter reactions, like Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway just
just
out
loving him.
when Dustin wins? These are guys he fought, in like bitter kind of, not bitter, but back and forth kind of like war type exchanges, and they're just like losing their minds with glee when Dustin Poirier gets it done. He's very lovable.
Gaethje said something like, he was like, man, I hate that guy, talking about BSD.
Yeah, I don't know how you can hate that.
So random.
He's like the nicest guy. I don't know what there is to hate about him.
I don't know if they had something in between each other or not.
Here's Ethan. Oh, he did call him out, so maybe that's why.
Oh, yeah.
Ethan, hey, Ariel and crew. With the Oscars this past Sunday, would love to get a ranking from New York, Rick, GC, and Frank of their top 3 nominated Best Picture movies. My ranking, Oppenheimer, Holdovers, Anatomy of a Fall. Love the show and been a listener for over 10 years. I think it's interesting that Ethan didn't ask me this question, but this shows that he's a real fan of the show because I've not seen any of these movies, and I've only heard of one of them, Oppenheimer. So, do you have a top 3?
I think I have a blind spot here.
I actually watched the Oscars on Sunday. It was great.
How was it?
Oppenheimer cleaned up. It was good. Production value's high.
What won best movie? Oppenheimer. Okay.
Best movie, best director.
Did Barbie get nominated?
Actor. Yeah, Barbie did get nominated.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd go Oppenheimer. Killers of the Flower Moon. That was also great. And then I'd probably go Poor Things 3.
Wow.
Now, did you see all of them? Because I have some blind spots. There's some.
So I haven't seen American Fiction. Haven't seen Past Lives. I do want to see Past Lives though.
Ooh, good one.
I haven't seen Anatomy of a Fall.
Saw Maestro.
Oh, Maestro.
I didn't see. There's a few that I really want to see. I haven't seen The Zone of Interest. I haven't seen The Holdovers, and I haven't seen Anatomy of a Fall. But I've seen everything else. Oh, sorry, I didn't see American Fiction either. But that's like my next one on the queue. This is like really good Best Picture year. Of the ones I've seen, I'm gonna put Oppenheimer 1, Poor Things 2, Killers of the Flower Moon 3.
Yeah, I was just flip Killers.
Past Lives is right there though. Past Lives.
I want to
is
see
right
Past
there.
Lives. It looks great. Yeah, Emma Stone. Shout out. Poor Things.
Great year.
2-time
Poor
actress.
Things was tremendous.
Best actress.
Frank, what about you?
I've only seen 2, which was Barbie and Maestro.
Oh my god!
You didn't see
you still
Oppenheimer?
haven't seen Oppenheimer?
And out of those 2, I would say that Maestro
insane.
deserved
Just
higher accolades than Barbie.
Just moving on.
Yeah, that's all I got, really. I have nothing to add. What about Robbie? Hi, Ariel. Quick question about 302. Rumor has it it's in Newark. Is this true? Shout out to you and the crew. Always providing the best sports show in the world. Thank you. Yes, this is the latest talk. Can't confirm 1,000%, but the talk lately has been 302 in Newark on June 1st. Let us see if it comes to fruition. Jack, hey team, having watched countless of hours of fights, do you think you could corner a fighter? If yes, who would you want to corner? Remember, you were just cornering them for their fight, jumping in as they make their walk. Sherm, boy, are those bills depleted. Yeah, it's been a tough time. I'd like to think that Mr. Bean and company, Mr. Pagula, they have a long-term plan here, but tough to see, I mean, just absolute important, the most important pieces, especially on the defensive side of things. Trey White, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poirier signing with the Dolphins is weird, but I always kind of felt like he wanted to go to Miami anyways. Mitch Morse, tough days, but hopefully there's a vision. It would be great. I would love to corner a fighter. One thing that I've always wanted to do is just kind of like experience everything other than the fighting, because I don't have it in me. And I'm not going to offer any advice, but just to make the walk, what does that feel like? What is it like to be in the trenches? What is it like to be there all week? It's all about the fighter. You got to be there when he's cutting weight. You got to be there preparing the food. You got to be there when he weighs in. You got to be there for the after weigh-in. You like just beginning to end, soup to nuts, fight week, making the walk, the highs, the lows, the anxiety, get to the arena. Like, I would love to experience that. Am I worthy of experiencing it? No, absolutely not. I'm not a part of the team. I offer nothing. But I just think that that's an incredible bonding experience. And I love to see like how everyone is just all about that one person, just to see them succeed, do everything possible to see that person succeed. It's an incredible thing. It's really cool. And then you see like the jubilation. You just kind of see the pressure just get lifted off their shoulders in the aftermath. Amazing. So would be cool, but I'm not pushing for it because I don't deserve to be there. Oded, hi Ariel and crew. Why, in your opinion, does the UFC not do more stadium shows? The amount of times they had over 50,000 can be counted on one hand. I think Dana just doesn't like how it looks. First of all, the outdoors makes him nervous. I think he just doesn't like how it looks, to be honest. The outdoors makes him nervous from a weather perspective, but I think he thinks that it's just too big or it's too far away. But I feel like as time goes on, they'll do more and more of them. It just has to be the right fight, right venue. But he has said that. He has said the weather makes him nervous, and then the fact that some fans will be so far away. It's a small playing field, if you will, so it doesn't make for the best experience. Jake, hello, Ariel. Quick fun question. With the release of the new WWE game, which I have downloaded, WWE 2K24, I've played it twice with my kids, and the graphics are insane. First time I played with Bret Hart, second time I did Royal Rumble. The graphics are insane. Incredible. I can't wait to really, we haven't had a chance to really sink our teeth into it, but it is fun. It is fun. Anyway, the question is, who is one past/present wrestler you think could have or still could make a run in UFC similar to Brock? Chad Gable, maybe? He came to mind. Former wrestler. Who else? It would have to be someone with a wrestling background. Gable Steveson. I'm going to go with him.
Has he wrestled yet?
He's popped up here and there. He's on NXT.
What's the deal?
Well, he just finished college, and there was some talk of him wrestling this year. He's still so young. He's like in his early 20s. So
that's just like
they just signed him super early.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
And he had no experience. He had never done indies. Like they were, getting in on him early.
Valerie Laredo would probably be a good answer for that.
Yeah, MMA,
yeah.
Juan Sanchez, hi Ariel and crew. You mention often how you dread the process of booking guests. True. I'm curious how many requests you get from fighters wanting to come on the show. Does that make your job easier? Do you welcome it? How often do you have to say no? Don't have to say no often. That's more from like PR people. But yes, it does happen more. It's great when it happens and it's a big name. My favorite is when they ask to be on and then they make it difficult to actually like seal the deal. But it does obviously happen more often than not these days, and that is tremendous. I love it. it definitely makes my life easier, especially when I could do it in advance, like a week out. What a nice thing, especially for like a Monday show. So I have to be less stressed going into the weekend. Have a couple of people in the back pocket. Amazing. Just a few more here. Shane, Ariel, I've seen Mark Goddard be interviewed on a few MMA platforms recently. Curious as to why you haven't had him or other referees on the show. I did ask Mark on Monday to come on following the Cédric Doumbé thing, and he politely, respectfully declined. Gave me a long reason as to why. Not personal. Between me and him, of course. We've always had a very good relationship. But, yeah, he didn't feel like it was the right call at the time. But definitely reached out, wanted him on, hopefully in the future. And he has been on in the past. And other referees I've talked to him, Big John, Mike Beltran, several others don't want to be on, don't feel comfortable being on, and are sort of, I would say, encouraged not to do media. But those, Herb Dean has also been on. Adam, good afternoon, Ariel. It's Natan Levy fight week. I was wondering if you have a relationship with one of my favorite members of Am Yisrael. I would love to see him on the show one time, maybe even cover my boy Eli Barzilai at some point too. Israeli MMA is on the rise. Also, this needs to be said. I love how you use your platform to promote peace and love for our people back in the Holy Land. You are truly a mensch. F the haters and the trolls. Yours always, Adam. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I will always and continue to do that. I've never had Natan on, but perhaps if he wins on Saturday, we can have him on Monday. Just never have found the right opportunity, but definitely think that he's doing incredible things for the country and representing the country and doing it the right way. And I think it's one of the more interesting fights on the card this weekend. So let's see how he does. Shout out to Floyd Mayweather, who has been very supportive as well. If you look on his social media, pretty cool. Not really quite sure why he is, but it's amazing to see. So, and very, very, very much appreciated. Steve, hi, Ariel and crew. Longtime listener, first-time writer from rainy Colchester, UK. Not a question, but I thought you would all appreciate hearing about something that happened to me today. I was driving through Suffolk for work and popped into a big Tesco for some lunch. I'm picking out my meal deal, BLT, Doritos, Heatwave, and Diet Coke, and I turn around, and who do I see walking down the aisle? AAA. Almighty Arnold Allen. No cap. What are the odds of seeing the meal deal king himself in Tesco whilst I'm also getting a meal deal myself? Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool and thought you'd appreciate it. All the best and much love, Steve. I do appreciate it. And that
what
is
a dream. What a dream that is.
That's absolutely incredible.
I feel like I would buy my meal deal and then just have Arnold Allen sign it and then put it in a case.
100%.
Did you see the shirt that he got designed? The Tesco Almighty shirt? Well, you didn't see this? You're kidding me.
No.
Oh, I've ordered it. It's on the way.
You ordered it?
Are you kidding me? Of course. Let's see if I can pull this.
Wait, does he have to be sponsored by Tesco for this?
No. I'll show you what we're working with here. Let me pull this bad boy.
It's like parody, right? He's like utilizing This is like going to the park and you're seeing Michael Jordan playing pickup. This is like next level.
Going to a baseball field and like Babe Ruth is just chilling.
Oh, Babe Ruth's just taking BP over there.
Take a look at this bad boy.
Oh, wow.
That's the back of it.
Wait, does it have like his actual selections? What are the things? I can't see.
No, they all say Almighty. It does say pork, added gains, and then this is the front.
Ah, so good.
Almighty, make meal deals great again. It's
so good. Although if I could offer, because we shower him with love, I would love to see the "Make Great Again" line be retired. Everyone's variation. It's just enough.
Wow.
No, it's just like, why?
Can you?
That's not a political statement. It's just like I just feel like I see it so much, in so many different ways. Yes.
Can you text Arnold Allen and get his account of events? I'm interested to see.
Do you think it's possible this guy's lying?
Did he?
No. I think he's telling the truth. I want to know what happened.
Did he get a picture?
Yeah, did he come up? Do you guys have a picture?
Go for advice from the sage master of meal deals.
Fair.
What did you say to him? Did you recommend a meal deal to him? These are the things I need to know.
Gabrielle, hello, Ariel and crew. Quick question. Any update on a potential live show for UFC 300 or International Fight Week from a huge fan in Bakersfield, California? What can we say about this, gentlemen? Anything at all?
I have to admit, I missed it. I missed the whole question.
No, I heard the question.
Yeah.
I don't know it, so you go. I mean, it would be there won't be, there's not going to be a show in front of a live audience like we did in New York, but
potential boots on the ground.
Will we be in Las Vegas 1 month from today?
Potentially.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Who's to say? What hotel would I be staying at?
Well, don't say
Who's
that.
To say?
Yeah, don't say that part.
Yeah. More to come. More to come. But yes, no plans for a live show like we did in New York prior to the MSG card, but opportunities to do meet and greets, yes. So stay tuned. Dan asked a question about the July Manchester card and Tommy fighting on the card. This is, again, something being discussed, but all very fluid. Let's see. But yes, it is a thing that is definitely there and has legs. Let's see if it comes to fruition. Ahmed says that he sees me or saw me in Riyadh at AJ and Ngannou. Tried to contact me, but I was busy with Oladipo. I'm sorry about that. I would have loved to say hello. He says, I was looking forward to meeting you in person. My question is, how do you rate your experience at the Kingdom? Would you consider returning? Latter, yes. Former question. Like I said, I was pleasantly, what's the word? Not surprise isn't the word, but it was just like, I felt welcome. I spoke to so many people about it, and everything they said was accurate, and what I experienced. The warmth and the welcome, and I appreciated that very much. Just very warm, peaceful, kind-hearted, and sincere people. So obviously they have a lot of work to do in terms of, you know, the evolution and development of the country, and when it comes to the events, the timing and the crowd and all that stuff, all very much a work in progress, but an experience. And I've been lucky enough to be at events in Japan, Australia, Brazil, England, Ireland, I said Brazil, USA, Canada, and so many other places. And so this was just in Abu Dhabi. Another great experience that, you know, I'm happy to have experienced. Maybe just one more. Okay, here's a good one to end on. Peter, Ariel, Monday's show was unreal as far as the range of emotions and characters. With the Joanne interview, you said a piece of you feels guilty when fighters you've known from the start of their journeys retire. Do you think that is something that will be something you carry through the next generation of fighters? Or is it more personal with those who came into the sport alongside? Thanks again for the great entertainment. The days are tough sometimes. Appreciate you and the whole team. Much love, my man. And yes, I do feel like it's those fighters from like the 07, 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, 13 era, you know, and even some that came like kind of going into like the mid-Fox era and like when I started. And in particular, the ones at the very beginning, pre-Fox MMA rated Jerry Park days. It will never be the same. The connection will just be different because I was a complete nobody and the vast majority of them gave me the time of day. So, you know, if not for that, I would have never been able to advance and get my name out and get my work out there. And so they had to say yes when I was contacting them via MySpace back in the early days, a lot of them. And, you know, I will forever be in debt. And that's why there's a bit of a guilt in that I get to continue and they don't in this particular way, but they're continuing on to do other things and hopefully great things and different things and all that. It's just, they get to say goodbye or they have to say goodbye and I don't. So that's what I talk about. I don't know if I'm verbalizing this the right way, but it bums me out to see them sad. And I also know that with that sadness is just sadness for the end of a road and a journey. But I feel like with someone like Joanne, she's so happy in her personal life and the way in which things have played out, that's a beautiful end to a story. All this is going to end soon. At some point, it's going to end. The show's going to end. I'm going to not cover. Like it's always going to end. There's always no one does anything forever and ever and ever. And you just hope that there's joy and happiness as far as the journey, and you're at peace and you can move on without regret. That's what I hope for all the fighters. I appreciate everyone who sent in questions. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.